Guys like Bernie Sanders have done a serious number on this entitled as generation we are now bringing up. And I'm not just talking about the Zoomers or the Alphas. I'm talking about the overall landscape of this spirit of I am owed something. It is my human right. Because I exist, I deserve it all, right? We're born into a society where things are already done. And therefore, we think it is our right to have those things, right? Surprise, surprise. It's not your right to have clean water coming out of that sink right there, right? That's not a human right. That is something that your ancestors, your predecessors worked towards. They created an infrastructure that allows for clean water. Now, you do have the right to clean your own water, right? You find yourself in a forest, you find a riverbank, you can take some of that water, throw it into a pot that you created by yourself because you got the right to create a pot, and you can cook it. But it's not your right to have these things just given to you. This is a mentality that we have been indoctrinated into. And it's gone so far that there is this belief that the taxpayer, you and I, must pay for somebody's decision to go to a college or a university, right? I deserve to go to one of these indoctrination camps, and you need to flip the bill for it because it is my right to go to college. No, it is your right to choose to go to a college. Absolutely. You have the right to choose to go to any day. You have the right to walk off a cliff if you wanted to. God honest truth, you can do that if you want, right? But do you have the right to not face the consequences of gravity? Absolutely not. That's why I point towards the individuals such as Bernie Sanders. He has just become the poster child in the last decade or so. He is the face of this sort of entitlement where everybody else is supposed to pay for your own life trajectory or even your own failures in life, right? Somebody decides to go to university for basket weaving in Nairobi, mixed with a little bit of feminist gender studies, the spectrum of all intersectionality of race and critical. Like, you can get a pointless degree. You can spend $100,000 that you do not have on that pointless degree, and somebody else is expected to pay for your bad decisions because it was a bad decision. You chose to take upon you something that does not necessarily equate to value in the marketplace. I'm not saying that you shouldn't care about these damn subjects. If that's what you like, that's what you like. Some people just love the Ninja Turtles and that's all they care about, right? That's all they care about. Whether you're on the spectrum or not, you might just love the Ninja Turtles and that's all you give a damn about. And that's a beautiful thing. I hope that you are able to take that passion and to turn it into some sort of career or business for yourself. I really do. But you are not in the right to be given money, to be given resources just because you chose to follow this path. Nobody owes me to watch my content because I create it. Nobody has ever owed me. I don't deserve it because it's a human right. I did the work, I deserve the result. And that's what a lot of these so-called educational institutions have also programmed into these kids is, you should get a grade based upon the work that you did. Well, at least you tried. Participation trophy. And so it disillusions you to believe that this is your right. You were born with the imbued right to somebody else's hard-earned money. I don't deserve to have somebody pay for anything in my life off the sake of it being my right. I have the right to do whatever is necessary to get, the resources that I need to get myself to where I want to go. I have the right to build a business. I have the right to get a job, but it's not getting the job is not my right. I don't have a right to a job. Somebody can make the choice to hire me into their company, right? I know this is so mind-boggling for many of us at this point, right? We see everything as the right for this, the right. You have a right to, or at least you have the right to fight to party, right? As the Beastie Boys once said, you got that right. You can fight for your right to party day and night. But that does not mean that you are guaranteed the party just because you exist. I believe as a human being, your value is intrinsic. Your worthiness is within, and nothing can take that away from you, right? You have intrinsic worth. But your value to the rest of society in the marketplace is something that is going to be earned. It's something that you have to go out there and present and project. And so if you're mad that somebody else is getting things that you're not, the best thing you can do for yourself is to either take notes on their success or to look for the pathway to create, from wherever you stand. Maybe you're supposed to create something entirely different than what you're doing right now, but you don't get there by being an activist. You don't get there by complaining about, how other people, the rich bastards, should be paying your lifestyle off. There's people who believe that it is their right for you as a taxpayer to pay for them to get their joint chopped off so they can live in their delusion. Seriously, there's a belief that you as a taxpayer must pay for that chick right there who doesn't want to essentially mess her life up. And so you should pay for her to be able to unalive her baby. You need to pay for it, right? If that's what you want to do, in most places in this country, unfortunately, you got the right to do it up till damn near the baby's born, right? But for me to have to pay for your decision it's damn near corruption. The fact that I have to pay for your own quote unquote mistakes is a form of delusion, and it is of the highest order. These are the mind babies of the so-called socialists, right? The Bernie Sanders of the world, who are multimillionaire socialists, the Hassan Pikers, who are communists, but they're making millions of dollars from a free market capitalistic society. These are the delusions that we start to accept, and we start to view reality through that lens. And I'm so tired of this entitlement. I really am. I am the guy who says, if I am losing, I need to figure out how to win. I'm not going to look for a person to blame. I'm not going to look for a system to blame. If my videos don't hit, I'm not blaming an algorithm. This shit has nothing to do with an algorithm and everything to do with whether or not I am creating something that is perceived as valuable, because value is in the eye of the beholder, right? It's perception. Somebody believes that painting right there is worth $200 million. Somebody else looks at it and says, that's garbage. That's worse than garbage. I need to pay somebody to remove it from my house. That's perception. So again, we carve our lane in life and we find what it is that people are going to value. If you go to an educational institution, if you choose to take out those loans, you're going to owe those loans. You made a decision. Maybe you're 18 years old and it wasn't necessarily best to give an 18-year-old that much, decision-making power, right? That could be an argument, but it still doesn't take away from the fact that somebody chose to take that loan. Somebody chose, to take those courses. Somebody chose that major. But I got the degree. I'm owed a job. No, you're not. No. That's not how this works. Just because you now then got the degree does not mean that it is your right to have that job. It is your right to seek out employment. It is your right to create a business. It is not your right to become successful. That is something that you must work towards. You must figure out for yourself. I have grown adults that I see who are still holding on to those childlike notions. Because I threw a big enough tantrum, the world must yield to my complaints. Because I have drawn out enough sympathy and pity out of people, they must give me the things that I want. This is the ideology of wokeness. And I'm not saying that this is one side of the aisle, right? It's not just the lefties. There's too many, unfortunately, people who view themselves as conservatives or Republicans who have this sort of victim mentality. The world owes me something. I have news for you folks. Nobody, unless they are, your caretaker, like, they gave birth to you or brought you into this world, unless they are that person or you have signed a explicit contract about something already, nobody actually owes you a damn thing, right? I mean, we can get into the government and, if you're contributing to that ecosystem, right? They are expected to do certain things, but they must be held accountable. And they're pissed off about it. Shout out to Doge. Nobody actually owes you a damn thing. Nobody owes you a living, right? YouTube doesn't owe me a check every month. The reason they send me a check is because there's a certain level of value that I create that is perceived as valuable to a specific audience. And so that value is traded for value in the currency of the dollar bill. That's how that works. If nobody watched me like they did years ago, it was on me to figure out why that was. And I still hear people to this day, oh man, well, you just got lucky. Well, then figure out how to get lucky yourself. Go out and work your ass off so you can get lucky too. You know what I mean? And I know this sounds unsympathetic, but it's the most loving message I could give you. It is the most, when you start to view life from this perspective, you not only become more grateful for the things around you, which is like a core tenet of wealth, just to have a wealthy life, because you can have a lot of money, but be poor as hell, right? Poverty is a state of consciousness. You can be afraid to lose it. You can hoard, you can whatever it is, and you're just as poor as somebody who's, doesn't have that money. But when you find yourself in a place where you realize that, man, these technologies have been afforded to me. I have these things because somebody was willing to build them, to work towards them. Somebody was incentivized to do this, right? I had an ecosystem that made life so much more convenient for me before I got here. It was not my right to it. Even with water, I used to complain, well, water and food should be free. Okay, then go ahead and grow your own. Simple. Go out into the forest, grow your own, and supply your own water. Simple. But if you want the convenience of water that is already cleaned out, if you want the convenience of water that has been essentially processed or purified at a certain level, then there's going to be some sort of payment for that. There's a trade for that. Food should just be free. It is free when you grow it and you paid with your labor, your time, your energy, and your attention. So there's going to be a payment somewhere. I just so happen to be the type of dude who would rather give you my capital for the food that I want to consume. I'm that kind of guy, right? I might grow some food for fun, etc. But if I had to grow all the food that I eat, I would rather pay you. I'd rather put this money into your pocket so you can do more of what you do best, which is to grow, the best food or to raise the best livestock, etc., in order for me to have the best quality food. I would rather do that. And that's how this free market society works. I want to go to school. Okay, great. Then either I qualify, give value through my academics, through my ability to contribute to the, sports or whatever other extracurricular it may be, right? That's value trade-off to say I am the best player in my sport. I get a scholarship. I am bringing more assets to the school and they trade me off. That's how that's working. That's what a scholarship is supposed to be about. It's not supposed to be a handout. You poor thing, let me just give you. No. Those who achieve are able to get that trade-off because you're going to make the school more valuable, right? There's always going to be a trade-off. Always. Like Brother Thomas Sowell says, there is no solution. There is only a trade-off. Is the trade-off more beneficial for more people or not? Is it, are we trading off something that is valuable to you and valuable to me? So, okay, I get a scholarship. If I don't, I can trade off the value of currency, right? I know Fannie Mae isn't the most fair loan shark in the world, but you still go to Fannie Mae, right? Freddie Mac, you go over there and you negotiate to say, here, can you give me some of your fiat currency, some of your money, right? In order for me to get this degree so that hopefully I have the prospects of getting a job outside. It's not, hey, you owe me that and, I I get to go to that job and get the job because I got this piece of paper. That's written nowhere. Nowhere in life is that written, right? The rights that we have, the genuine rights as human beings, is the right to your own autonomous humanity. If somebody tries to rob you of that, then that is a violation to your genuine human rights. You have the right to do what you choose with your own body, your own mind, your own emotional capacity. That's the power that you have to make decisions on that basis. Once you start to impede onto others, that's when it becomes problematic, right? But so long as it is self, you have the right over that. And, some laws would state that you have the right over your children. I believe you have a responsibility over your children. You have the rights over your own body. That means everything else that is basically outside of that, right? Anything that's outside of that. Well, what about clothes? Yeah, you have the right to put on clothes if you want. I mean, by law, sure. Probably going to be arrested if you walk around with no clothes, unless you're on the mission in San Francisco or something like that. But you have the right to clothes. It's just, are you going to collect the materials and then make the clothes? Or are you going to buy the clothes? Just straight up. I like to buy the clothes. I think it's much easier. I would rather dedicate my life to something like this rather than putting together outfits for myself, right? From scratch and collecting whatever it is. I wouldn't even know where to start. I don't even know, how the hell would I get a sheep to begin with who I then, essentially shear for the sake of the wool that I then use to, sew or knit. I don't even know which one is which. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know where to start with that. So the fact that I live in an environment, in a free market that allows for the trade of all of these, that somebody took care of the sheep situation, somebody raised the sheep, somebody knew how to shear the sheep. Shout out to you, shearer, because you're actually helping the sheep as well. Some people think it's sheep abuse. It's not. Sheep love to get a good shaving because things get real tangled up. Things get real fluffy. Not in the best sense, not like in a bunny fluffy, just like in a tangled mess sort of fluffy. Sort of like, unkempt hair that turns into dreadlocks by accident, right? So somebody took that wool, cleaned the wool, then essentially sold that wool to somebody else who then processed it and, then maybe sold it to another company that then created the clothing. Then they put that clothing into a truck somewhere and the clothing was sent to a place that then distributes the clothing. I like the fact that there is all of that taken care of and then it reaches me and then I'm able to wear, the Christmas sweater without even thinking about it. I like that. I have a right to buy that. I have a right to the opportunity. I have the opportunity to do so. And if the person doesn't want to sell it to me, well, that's their prerogative. They get to not sell it to me. I can go somewhere else. I have the right to go elsewhere, right? But I don't have the right to every damn thing just because it's there. It's this man Bernie. I have began to build a personal case on the man because I see how many people still have this disillusioned idea of economics. And when I unpack, I see that a lot of these things were being enhanced at the very least by Bernie and his campaigns. Tax the rich, tax them 100%, give all the money to everybody else. Okay, great. Then there's no billionaires left. So then who's going to pay the 41% of taxes, right? If the 1% is taken away, the millionaires, billionaires, or those making $500,000 plus, who exactly is then going to take care of that 41% of our taxes? I mean, let's say they stay rich and then they just decide to move because they're disincentivized from actually doing business. You make it so difficult. You make it so painful to do business, right? I lived in California, ran a business in California. They made it incredibly painful to do business there, but you love the place and the weather and things of that nature. And then at a certain point, it's just too much and you just can't do it anymore. You just can't do it anymore. You're not willing to do it anymore. And so they disincentivize some of the biggest companies to leave. And guess what? There goes your money. There goes a majority of your tax base. Oh, they're supposed to be the ones who are also paying for free college and free health care, et cetera, right? there are still people within our healthcare system, multitudes of them, mind you, who are making decisions that are leading to ill health. We're supposed to subsidize people's bad decisions. Yeah, sounds fair. It's their right to free healthcare because they decided to indulge themselves in whatever they wanted. Again, I know there's a multitude of people where that's not the case, but there's more people where it is the case, statistically speaking, right? If you look at most autoimmune, you look at most heart conditions, etc., it is food-based, lifestyle-based at the very least. We can give it that umbrella term. The only right we have in this life is the right to make of our lives what we choose it to be through our own actions and what we choose to give our energy to or not. We don't have the right to the result. We have the right to create the result. And if we don't achieve it, then I would hope that you do whatever is necessary that is moral and upright to get there. Simple.
I used to be afraid of the dark, a place unknown like a heart in their heart. I used to see my life in the bar. Now the kids unchained, every shackle is lost. 2 steps in the moonlight, 2 step in the daytime. You just know when it feel right. You got a feeling the time's not. See you through those shades that I just threw on. Through my lenses, you just can't do no wrong. I fell in love with myself again. I fell in love with myself. I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light. You can see the life in him illuminate the night. I know the time is taking. A 365, that's a full rotation. I see you looking up, you know them constellations. Constantly gazing like counts of praises, you get to praising. They see your light shine, that's why they so frustrated. Even the sofa in Nova Scotia will win the bagels. I couldn't get them ease on the grease, why they burning up. Money growing trees,